All right, here we go. It is Monday. Let's fucking go. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy. Been a very, very good weekend. Had a great time this weekend. Ate great food. Went good places. Enjoyed the sun and the fun here in Arizona. The new F1 movie. Check it out. You know, Jerry Bruckheimer. He's fantastic. Did the original Top Gun, did Days of Thunder, and so he did really good with the F1 movie. And I'd really say seeing it in a theater is worth doing. So, and there haven't been many of those to say, movies lately, because I think the last movie Don said we saw was The Lion King. Love The Lion King, but that, with the whole realism and stuff, that was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. We liked that, but there haven't been a lot really. I'm conflicted about the new Superman. How many times have we got to go back to the beginning of Superman? I don't know. I've done that enough times, so I'm not sure. I imagine if you're super hardcore, maybe that interests you, but for me, I don't know. So, what else? There's been a lot, huh? All right. I posted this on my Facebook. I posted it originally on Truth Social. I've tried to get on Truth Social and I was going to be consistent and stuff and do some stuff there. But with all the things I have going on, I just haven't done it. I've tried it twice now to do that, and it seems to be going nowhere. I struggle enough building an audience everywhere else, right? But I did see, we all see every day Truth Socials. When Trump posts, he posts on Truth Social, which I totally get and understand. And I read his response or his truth concerning the issue of Epstein, and I didn't like it. I also didn't like the tone or the downplaying of it and how we were talked to during the cabinet meeting last week. I think they've done a horrible job of handling this, and it's it. This is how I think personally as well. Got a couple of Johns on here. Hey, man, how are you guys? So there's a couple of things. So for me personally, let's say somebody owes me, wants to borrow $20. I loan them $20, and please don't ask me for money, but I hate loaning money to people because then if they don't return it, then I got to do stuff. But but here's the truth. So somebody says, "Hey, can who somebody says to me, hey man, can I borrow $20? I get paid on Friday. I can come right after work and I'll pay you on Friday." And so you do it. Now, who made the deal? Who set the terms of the deal? Now, maybe you did, maybe you changed the terms of the deal, and maybe they agreed to it. But in this kind of case, and I've had many of them like this, where somebody else made the deal, they set the terms. You told me Friday. I didn't tell you Friday. I might have said, hey, it's cool. You don't have to rush. Just get it to me by Monday and we'll be good. Maybe I would have said that. But if they said Friday, then I'm going to say nothing. You told me Friday. I expected Friday. And Friday rolls around and of course they don't show up. I hate that shit more than anything else in the world because you told me. You set the expectation. Troy, I'm going to do this. And to me, when you give me your word, tell me you're going to do something, I believe it. I believe it until I don't. But I'm going to believe you. You're going to say you're going to do this. I expect you to do this. And it happens where people that it just doesn't happen. And then you got to call them, stuff like that. That was not part of the whole thing. Dude, I'm not even charging you interest, and I should. And you said you were going to do this. Well, this came up, and then the excuse. There's still no excuse for not contacting me on Friday. That's how I feel about, and I know this is way more serious, but how I feel about the Epstein files, how I feel about this whole situation. The Trump administration set the deal. They set the tone. We wanted it. Now, you could have said, look, during the campaign, I want to be as transparent as possible. I don't know what I'm going to be able to release. We'll take a look at it when we get in. We'll see. We'll do the best we can do, but I'm not making any promises. And maybe some people wouldn't have liked that answer, but it would have been an appropriate answer. Versus, we're going to release everything. We're going to get in there. We're going to let the American people know. We're going to fucking show everybody everything. And you set the expectation, the Trump administration, including Donald Trump himself. And then the president, the attorney general, she set the expectation. People might say, and I've heard it said, well, she likes to be in front of the camera and all this other happy horse shit. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I thought she would be a good one. I thought she was going to be good. I honestly did. I was pumped for her to be the attorney general. I thought, being attorney general in Florida during the DeSantis administration too, that she was a solid pick. She seemed real hard, go-getter, smart. And so I bought into it. And a lot of us did. And all I want now is for you to do what you said. And again, maybe you didn't think, and you had to defend yourself because somebody had a video about you talking about Epstein and all of these other videos with Epstein, and you had to defend that. But you've come out more than once saying that you're going to show us this, that it's on your desk. It's on your desk. If it's not literally on your desk, don't say it's on your desk. If it's not literally on your desk, if it's in the building, if it's we're taking care of it, we're looking into it, say it like that. But when you just were so precise, it's on my desk. Well, how can it be on your desk and also be on other people's desks at the same time because they're redacting names of victims or whatever's being done with this shit? I don't know, but the whole thing is it was handled badly, and the biggest thing, the reason that it was handled so badly is because they set the expectation. They could have downplayed it from the very beginning, because here's the thing, is it the most important thing in the world right now? No, it actually isn't the most important thing in the world. It's very important, but it's not the most important thing in the world. But now it's pushing the most important shit in the world off the table, and Donald doesn't like that, and I totally get that, but it's your fucking fault, dude. It's your fault. It's your administration. The buck stops with you, and I love Trump to death, but there's come sometimes, because nobody's perfect, that the one thing he's not good at, and if I was on the Trump team, I would help him be good at and use it in the most positive way, is to own shit. You gotta own shit. Okay, you gotta own, and I loved everything he did in the first term except for one thing. Well, I guess there was two, but I'm not going to talk about the second one because y'all wouldn't understand it anyways. But the first one, the number one thing was COVID. That I thought he did the best he could do. I thought, the ideas of, getting a vaccine and doing that initially, all of that was a good idea, but we should have never shut down and handled things the way they did. I understand why he did it and why he trusted other people, because like, you're not a scientist, you're a president, you're a businessman, you don't know that shit. But at some point you should be able to say, I listened to these people. It looks now like they're wrong, and we're going to lift all of this, and we're going to get back on track as fast as possible. We're going to protect those that are sick. Y'all need to stay inside if you're sick, but if you're not sick, you need to go about your life. There was a totally better way to handle it all, and to own it and take responsibility for it and say, look, my own instincts, and his own instincts have been phenomenal. My own instincts have been good. I'm going back to my instincts with this. This is the information. You do what you want, but we're not going to let people get kicked out or lose their jobs over this shit anymore. There was a way to handle it. Okay. But again, he did more good than not good. Okay. The good was dominant. And that's what we've been getting in this term. The good stuff has been super, super fucking dominant. I don't care what anybody says. It's been phenomenal what he's done. So we want that. But now we have this one stupid thing, because you set the expectation, you're pushing that stuff off to the side. And it's because he's been the most transparent president. It's because in the meeting that he was in last week with the cabinet members, I believe, okay, I don't know this is 100%, but I believe it's 98% accurate, that the length of his meeting last week, which was over an hour and a half, not quite 2 hours, that meeting was longer than all of the 9 meetings that Biden had his whole time. He'll talk to media anywhere, anytime, and pretty much any kind of media. Now, he might call you dumb or stupid, but, and even if you're dumb and stupid, he'll even say something like, okay, the people I don't like, all right, here you go, ask your question. And he'll let them do that. He does not suppress. We have we have a true free press. They just don't act free. They just don't do the work that they did years ago when it was a feather in their cap, right? To go dig up a story and expose real shit. We've had over the last 10 years a number of things that I think are as significant as Watergate, and they haven't been covered as such. Real government cover up. We've had them. They're not covering it up. They're not offering us the information. They're not digging it up to make a name for themselves. I don't know if we'll ever have that again. And that's why the media shifted, because there's not that trust. And we don't have anybody we can trust. We trusted Trump to do this. But again, he's been the most transparent of any president ever. And you may not like his transparency. You may not like what he says. But on the other side, if you're a Democrat, you cannot say he's not transparent. Okay, now you're going to refer to, well, what about Epstein? Look, y'all motherfuckers got to understand that we're the ones calling for the Epstein files. We're the ones that care about getting this information out to the public, and that we hold our own people to the fire, where you guys have a president who's not coherent, who doesn't have the ability to run the country, and you rally around him and prop him up and cover up all that bullshit. Okay, so we don't give a shit. We don't want to hear from you. We don't want to hear from you. We don't want to hear from you about sex and children and pedophiles. Here's why we don't want to hear about that: because it's you motherfuckers who allowed our borders to be so open that the cartel made tens and hundreds of billions of dollars by trafficking children and women across the border, and made billions of dollars trafficking women and children who were abused and still being abused to this day. You didn't care about that. But now you care. You care about Epstein? No, you just care about smearing Trump. And let's get to that. It's real simple. Not one person, not any of these people that I try to engage with on X that are hardcore liberal lunatics, not a single one of them can give an answer to why Biden, and I haven't heard anybody in any other type of media give an answer either. I haven't heard one person say, this is why President Biden didn't expose Trump and release the files. Nobody's given an answer to why that didn't happen. Because I asked the question, aren't you mad? You seem to be upset about this Epstein thing. We are, but why are you mad? And why aren't you mad at Biden? Aren't you mad at Biden? Did he stab you in the back? Because we all know you stabbed him in the back, right? That's because you did stab him in the back. We didn't stab him in the back. Democrats stabbed him in the back. Democrats are the ones who attacked Joe Biden and brought him down and made him come up with the idea that wasn't his own, that he should get out of the race. And then we don't want you to tell us about democracy, because it's not democracy when you backstab someone who is the sitting president, who goes through the nomination process again and is the Democratic nominee, and you get him to remove himself. There's nothing democratic about that. And he's the one that got the votes. Kamala Harris never got a vote a single time. She didn't get a vote in 2020, and she did not get a vote in 2024. She got 0 fucking votes ever. She's the one that dropped out. You're right, Johnny. He was mumbling during the debate. It was bad. Okay. But you guys are the ones that forced that whole thing to happen. And then you fucking elitists tell me about a king. What about a queen? You crowned Queen Kamala to be your nominee without a single fucking vote. There was no vote. That's democracy? Who's the threat to democracy? Look in the fucking mirror. You people are the threat to democracy. It's Democrats who are the threat to democracy. And these are the same Democrats who want to now make hay with the whole Epstein file shit. Explain to me. You took this president, right? You targeted him prior to 2016. During the campaign, you targeted him. You planted false information. You came at him with Russia, which was a lie, and it was funded by Democrats. All that's proven stuff. There's no debate about that stuff. There hasn't been a debate about that stuff in a long time. That was wrong. No, that should be done to no president. I wouldn't be cool if that was done to a Democratic nominee or president. None of that was cool. And then you undermined him every way you could when he was president in the first term. And then after he lost, you didn't want him to run again, so you attacked him with every type of lawsuit that you could come up with. Every type of lawsuit that you can come up with. And you want us to be upset about 30-some-year-old felony charges, and then you're calling somebody a rapist who was never, ever charged with rape, and nor was he convicted of rape. He was charged with sexual assault. And I'm not saying sexual assault's a good thing. I just don't believe he sexually assaulted that woman. Do I believe he insulted her? Probably. Insulted, not assaulted. That's a thing. You came after him to defeat him. You went after his businesses, anything you could do to try to take Donald Trump out. And the things you said, I think you're responsible for the assassination attempts too. I really do. I think you people are responsible for that. None of that is good. None of that is good. So you're telling me that it's Hitler, and you believe, because you believe he's Hitler, that you believe that anything is okay, legal or illegal, everything is okay to take him out. When you have a former FBI director willing to say 86-47, you were willing to do anything possible to take out this president, except what? One thing? You weren't willing to release the Epstein files? Because if Trump is really in the Epstein files, Biden could have ended him. Now, maybe he would have taken down some Democrats too. And I'm a believer in that as well. I'm a believer that if they're released, there's some Democrats that are taken down, some Republicans, and I don't really care of either party, which that would be or who would be harmed. But I think it goes deeper than that. I think that's just surface level shit, and people aren't thinking beyond that. I think if you listen to more recent interviews, there's some good ones Friday that are on here on YouTube. You can dig up with Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly, and also Charlie Kirk and Tucker Carlson when they were at this student event that they were having, and different Republicans and conservatives were coming in speaking, and they had them on stage doing 20, 30 minutes. Those were very good, and obviously they talked about this. And I think they had some really good takes and some really good information on this. So if you're looking for that kind of thing, really in depth like that, I highly recommend you find those videos and check them out, because that gets into the stuff that I'm not going to get into, but I'll mention it to you. It gets into the Mossad. It gets into the CIA, our own intelligence agency. It gets into former Israeli prime minister who at one time lived with Jeffrey Epstein for a while. Like, just things you may not have known that I think are very important. And maybe those people are being protected. So you're just thinking, just some politicians are being protected. I don't think that's the case. Um, it has been said by a number of people, because the way his first case was prosecuted and handled, and because they did such a terrible, they had such a terrible warrant, that the warrant didn't allow them to get stuff that they should have probably gotten the first time around. And that's because he was protected. He was being protected because he was an informant, or by being used by either our own intelligence or other intelligence. And I'm not stating any of that as fact. That's all speculation, but it's good speculation, okay? Because that's all we have now, is we're all speculating, but you got to follow through. You got to follow through and think about the speculation that you're running your mouth about. And that's why I'm saying that it just doesn't make sense that Trump is trying to cover up for himself, because that's just not a thing. Because he could have been exposed before if he was truly in there in a way that would be that bad. Now, do I think there's a written down list? Probably not, but through an investigation, you could create a list, right? And you could investigate. And the FBI should have created a Jeffrey Epstein list, because now they're saying, well, there's no list. Well, yeah, there kind of is a list. We have the flight logs, and the flight logs that were released that I know about were that show Trump going, to Florida. These were not to Epstein Island. What about those flight logs? Who were on those flights? How many times did those people go there? What was said about those people? And then part of the problem is you have some witnesses, you have some victims that they may have been victims, but they've also given bad information. They've maybe lied about certain people and told the truth about others. It makes it very, very difficult. I get all that, but it still just needs to all be put out there, and we just figure it out for ourselves, and you just put it out there. That's the answer. But I do believe that there's something way, way fucking deeper going on here. We need more government people. I'm not even sure what that means, LZO. Need more government people. We need more government workers. We need more what? That doesn't, no offense, bro. Or I don't know if LZO's a male or female name, but I don't know what that means. Doesn't make sense to me. Uh, I think we need to be more efficient, and that starts by cleaning out first, and then you add the things that you need back in once you do that. No different than cleaning a room, man. It's not that fucking hard. We don't need to make it that hard. Same with budgets. We make all this shit harder than it needs to be. It's not that hard. What is the government allowed to do? What money do we take in? Don't spend more than you take in. Not complicated more than that, really. And especially when you're not at war, there's no good reason to be taking on debt like the way that we do. So back to this. Look, it's not a good situation. It's not going to go away, whether Trump wants people to stop talking about it or not. We're not going to be dismissed. And so, like I said at the very beginning, and some of you might just be jumping in now, I put a post, I put a message to President Trump on his Truth Social. Now, look, I don't think that Trump is going to read my response to him. I don't think that. But I wanted to put my response out there anyway, because I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to share it because I think I have a pretty good common sense approach to this and evaluating this as well. So, and as I was saying, with, even though there might not be an actual list, they could come up with a list, and we want to know, if he was sex trafficking, if Jeffrey Epstein was sex trafficking girls to wealthy individuals, prominent people, um, prominent politicians, people of power, whatever it is, we want to know who those are, and we want those investigated. We want that done. And if Trump doesn't do it, who will? Do you think the next term or the next president's going to do it? Let's say, and I don't think the Democrats are going to win, even with this in the midterms or in 2028. But let's say they were to win in 2028. You think at that time that whoever is president then is going to release the stuff and expose Trump then? And again, if Trump knew he was in there, wouldn't it be better to release it yourself than to have somebody else do it? You got to think through these things. It's just not a thing that's going to happen. And that's the things I'm bringing up about the other side are things that the other side are saying on X that I'm particularly looking at. All right. So I wanted to read to you because I don't have Leo here. Leo will be back this week. I can't just pull it up and show you side by side. I don't have the technical skill for that. My technical skill is this. This is what I can do. I can still get on live and still talk to you and carry on our live show Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's what I can do and what I'm trying to do. So here we go. To Donald Trump. Look, man, I followed you since I was 18 and the art of the deal. I'm 57. Don't fucking talk down to us. I was MAGA before you. You didn't start it. Reagan said MAGA. Shit, so did Clinton. We want the Epstein file. We want people prosecuted. And you and your administration set the expectations of what we were gonna get. And now you're telling us to fuck off? That's not gonna work. We don't care what the truth is, or who or what agency is going to look bad. You've been the most transparent president in history. And now you're going to fuck us over? Or I'm sorry. Now you're going to fuck it up over this? After all of your big wins in the last 3 weeks, it's a shame to stain it with the way that you've handled this. We don't trust anyone. We have trusted you. I'm telling you, don't let us down, because if you don't do it, no one will. And I truly believe that if Trump doesn't do this, there's no one else that will pick up that mantle and continue doing that. And he has had these big wins. But here's the thing, you know this in your personal life, don't you? You could do 10 good things and you fuck up one time. What does everybody focus on? Your one fuck up. No matter how good those 10 things were, they're going to focus on your fuck up. And that's what happens. And that's why the focus is there now. And it needs to be on other things. So they got to find a way to either get this out or to get their messaging more in line, or I'm not sure. We heard, and it's all we've heard as far as I know, and what I've seen as of this moment. I can check it out. I don't believe there was talk. I thought it had happened, but it looks like it didn't happen. That Dan Bongino, the deputy FBI director, was going to resign, and the other two, Pam Bondi and our FBI director Kash Patel, said they're not going anywhere. I do not. I'd hate to see Dan Bongino resign. I really would. I hope he doesn't. But I understand that he developed a certain reputation, and we somebody out there. I'm somebody that if Dan Bongino says it, I'm a big big fan of his, that what he's saying is good stuff, that it's believable stuff, that it's well thought out, that he and that if he were ever wrong about anything, will say that he was wrong. He's one of those kind of guys that's just straightforward kind of guy, and you got to find somebody to believe, and he's one that I trust, and trust his information that he puts out. Now, that all gets to even ties with, let me make this clear on this podcast. It brings up, Jeffrey Epstein's suicide, right? I believe now more that Jeffrey Epstein did commit suicide versus killing, versus somebody else killing him. Here's why I think he killed himself. I think it's just like a mob movie. There's a scene in Godfather where the consigliere, Tom, goes and visits, I forget the guy's name. He's bald on the top, short, stubby, got a thick mustache. They brought his brother over from Italy when he was testifying before Congress, and he's in jail, right? He's in prison. And Tom goes and visits him. They light some cigars while they're walking. They let him smoke cigars and walk, I guess. I don't know. But that's the movie. And they have a conversation about the old country and how that people in his situation would be given a chance to redeem themselves, where they could take their own life, and then their families would be taken care of. And many would do that because they want their family taken care of. And then he goes back to where he's being held by the government, and he is able to slice his wrist, and they find him in the bathtub, right? He killed himself. I believe, yeah. You're going to tell me that strongly that Epstein killed himself? Yep. I'm guessing he did. But he was told to. That's where I'm at with it. That's my conspiracy theory, and I think it's less conspiratorial than about any other explanation. That he just did it because he was concerned or worried. No, there was something hanging over him that they had, and they got him to do it. They got him to do the work, and they set up the opportunity for him to be able to do it. So that's my two thoughts with that, because that kind of goes along with this stuff as well. So when Dan Bongino says that Epstein killed himself, he's not lying. Well, you're just not hearing the rest of the story. And I think it would be great if we were told the rest of the story, or if somebody really believed that, and if they didn't have evidence to that, but believed it, tell us what evidence they do have and why they come to that conclusion, or whatever it is. Just be straight, man. Just be straight with us. That's all we want. And that's Trump's appeal, is just be fucking straight, man. These politicians have such a hard time of just telling the truth, and they're always pandering and doing all this fake bullshit. When I say bullshit, I really mean it. It's part of my language. You just heard it when I posted this. Like, that's just how I really talk. I'm not making it up. I'm not trying to look like a badass, by saying those words. But when you're somebody who doesn't say it, so like, I'm gonna get tough now, and I'm gonna say bullshit. Get the fuck out of here with that shit, man. Ain't nobody buying that. Ain't nobody buying it. Be who you are. If you're somebody that doesn't swear, don't swear. It's okay. You don't have to swear. People are going to like you more. People like you if you're authentic. And saying those words don't make you authentic. Being authentic makes you authentic. All right. Just people can tell your instincts. That's why the people that like me like me. And that's why we're going to make this thing grow. And I need your help to make it grow. I really do. I need you to spread the word. I need you to spread some videos and some clips, and we're going to be having more of them, and make it easier for you guys to be able to do that, because I'm you, man. I'm as close to being you as you're ever going to get, and someone who wants to, spread the word, like that. Look, like I said, we were MAGA before Trump, and we're going to be MAGA after, and they're not getting rid of us. And all of these threats just make me think about, honestly, they make me think about civil war, is what they make me think about. And I can't imagine that the other side wants that. They keep talking like they do, they keep acting like they do. But my God, it's not going to turn out good for anybody, but it's really not going to turn out good for them if they push things that far. Because we're not kidding when we say we will defend. I know my people, and my people love the flag. And when I say my people, I'm not talking about a skin color. I'm talking about patriots. I'm talking about people who really give a shit about the country. But first and foremost, they give a shit about themselves. They give a shit about their families. They give a shit about God. And we just want to live and stop bothering us. That's all. We want to just live and stop bothering us with this dumb shit. We don't want to make a big deal out of transgenders in women's sports, but you make us. You make us. Stop it. We don't want to fuck around with that shit. We think it's so much nonsense that we have to even defend it in the first place. That should just be common sense that people fucking know. You should just know we don't need that shit. That's just dumb. Don't do that. Stop that. Just leave us alone. Let us live. Let us just go do our hustle and make some money. And people whining. Oh my God. Americans are the most. I've been on this kick lately about how spoiled everyone is. Spoiled. We as Americans are spoiled. We have the greatest lives and opportunities of anywhere on the face of this fucking earth. And if you are someone who's in a bad place right now, look, I feel for you, man. I've been broke. I feel for you. But there's no other place you could go where you would have the opportunity that you have right now to turn that around and get yourself to another level. Doesn't mean you're going to be a billionaire. Maybe you just want to be a thousandaire, whatever it is. But you have that opportunity here, man. You don't have that. Those opportunities aren't like that around the world. Those opportunities are here. Here. That's what that all means to me. So, what else is in the news, right? Well, I do want to say, please check out new things we're going to be dropping on the podcast, on the channel. We're going to be dropping reaction videos that Leo is finding. Don't have anything to do with that. He just knows me and what I'm interested in. He's going to show the videos. We're going to watch it together, and I'm going to react. And so it's all going to be spur of the moment, real, true, authentic as authentic gets. And we had a really good time recording a couple of those. I haven't checked. One was supposed to go up Saturday, so I'll check and make sure that happened. But check those out. Interviews. As soon as he's back, we're finally going to get moving on some interviews again. We got some good people to talk to. I love doing that kind of stuff because I love to learn myself, and I love to learn about something that somebody's really spent a lot of time on that they're passionate about, and so they should have more information on that than me. So I think that's fun stuff. I love educating myself in that way, and I'm a big believer in self-education, and that self-education never stops. And it's just fun. I don't know. I'm a nerd like that, I guess. Trump threatening Russia after announcing an arms package for Ukraine alongside the NATO chief. Can you imagine? Look at where everything has come with NATO. There was a time when we were going to tell NATO to fuck off, and that is all turned around now. Even stronger relationship with NATO. So he doesn't obviously go about things in the traditional way as many politicians have in the past, and certainly not the way Democrats would like it to be done. But it works. It works. So, and then the focus, the other cover up is they're gonna try to focus on or get us to focus on, and it's a legit cover up, but we're still not gonna let the Epstein stuff go. And that is that Biden's chief of staff has now reportedly, it's been reported that he approved the auto pen pardons in the final days. So, what did Biden know about the pardons and what didn't he know about the pardons? Pardons are more of a serious thing that that's the auto pen is really not used for that. Been used by all of these presidents, but not in that for that kind of case. It just weird, but we'll be getting into that as well. I don't know. Maybe I'll save it for Wednesday. We'll be talking about some basketball, the WNBA. The All-Star game is coming up here this week, and it's the WNBA over this past weekend. Some phenomenal, exciting games. Dawn and I had a great time at the last Mercury game where last week, Wednesday, our Mercury beat the Minnesota Lynx. Minnesota has been beaten since then again, and this was the number one team. So the league is really super competitive at this point, and Caitlin Clark continues to dominate. But, really, I think that my eyes have been opened to other players and really good players that I'm enjoying watching because of Caitlin Clark. I still have to give her credit for that because I wouldn't have been here in the first place to see these other players if it hadn't been for Clark. And that just continues to grow with Paige Beckers and the rookie season that she's had. It's just phenomenal. So maybe we'll talk about that stuff next time because it's been such a good time and because the WNBA All-Star game is coming up where they get to highlight and showcase their stuff. Should be a lot of threes. That's what there should be. Should be a lot of threes. All right. That's what I have for you today, people. I love you. God bless. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy. There we go.